Fern brought up in our check-in about having heard something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago and having it sit with her in an uncomfortable way where she felt like she wasn't rising to this level of participation or growth or whatever the topic happened to be. And then over that consternation, recognizing that it wasn't, that she already was that way. And so rather than judging, I'm somehow not more of that, that she could sink into what she already was. But it took some time to work through that. And we talked about the importance of discernment in our day, because so much comes to us, so many labels and so many ideas. I mean, everybody has an opinion. And what I wanted to talk to you about today, which dovetails into that, is this new moniker, FOPO. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's the fear of people's opinions. Following on the FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of people's opinions. And the idea that so many people are afflicted by this sense of what's mine and what's not mine. And everybody in the world wants to give you some opinion about that, about what is yours and how we can settle into self-doubt when we don't have a strong sense of what is already ours and what's ours to receive. They say that FOPO is actually more prevalent than FOMO. So there are fewer people feeling that they're getting left out, and that's good. Maybe because we're all so tired of being busy, we don't care. Just say no, that's good. But that people are really, and this is happening in the younger people, so younger generation. So this may not be something that's an issue for you. We're mature women. We've already spent a lot of time working on what's ours and what isn't ours. And actually, I just think as we get older, we get just tired. We don't care. If somebody wants to have an opinion that doesn't work with us, or they give us an opinion and we know it's not ours, we're okay with it. But people around us are not necessarily. I'll say something. I don't know how many of you have met with my daughter who's doing these hours she needs to get this national certification for this health coaching thing she's doing. And she said to me, not sharing any details of her conversations, but she said to me, Mom, I didn't know how spiritually aware and just aware in general, their awareness level of the women in your life. She said, I was, she's talking to kids, people her age and people not her age, but this group who have spoken to her, she's like, they already know what's going on in their lives. Like, they don't need me to uncover it or do anything. She goes, it's so interesting. And I hadn't thought about that, but it's true. We have already spent a lot of time, not just by our age, but by our intention to work towards unearthing who we are and what we want and what we're doing. And yet we still do get hiccups, but in general, we have spent a lot of time on that. So this may not be your issue, but many of us on this call have younger, either children, friends, relatives, who you may witness are having this issue in their life, or you see where, particularly where somebody is not following their own maybe dream because they were told that they should have a different dream. And so I just want to talk about that today, because as elders, we're called to step into that kind of guidance around us. So while it may not apply to you, it definitely applies to the world around us. So that's why we're going to talk about it today. One of the underlying issues of FOPO is that most of us grew up with pretty strong family influences that either told us how we should behave or what was acceptable, or even worse, what we would like to do with our life. And stepping out of that framework and into your own frame of what's your frame? Where's your picture frame? What is your frame? Is not an easy thing. And you may even feel that at this age, when we step out of the societal norms, and the spiritual journey is very accepted now, but it's still, people pigeonhole you. Oh, you're on your spiritual journey. And then they kind of decide you're in a certain category. So, oh, you meditate. Oh, like that may be to them, that may resonate, interesting to them. It may resonate as a way to put you into a box. People always want to put us in boxes. And I'm quite certain that the women on this call do not want to be in a box of any sort. We're climbing out of that box all the time. So we get to have the opportunity to express ourselves and stay true with that expression. So our personality, our choices, these things they're tethered to our essence, who we are. So reconnecting and staying in a good connection with our essence is really important, because other people and the world have all sorts of opinions. And we read this, everything's a soundbite these days. What's the connection internally with me between who I really am and the outside world? What I really know I can step into and is mine to step into, and the outside world throwing things at me. Historically, our brains were created for or used for safety. And the whole idea of safety, if you go back thousands and thousands and millennia of years, was about belonging to something, to a group, a community, for safety. You needed to be part of a tribe in order to be protected. The tribe would go out and part of the tribe would get the food and part would do the cooking. But you had to be together. That was your best, that was the safest way to survive, was to stay in a group. And so our brain has this inherent sort of orientation for grouping, that you want to be part of a group. And when you get thrown out of your group, or you're on the edge of your group, or you can't find your group, it can feel disorienting, because we feel that we need to be a part of something that has some structure. And yet our life exploration is about being outside of structures. So there's this tension that exists between how society is set up and how our yearning for expansion wants to step outside of that. And our life is the exploration of that. So we get to spend the time really looking for, where is that edge? Where's my growing edge? Where am I pushing out the boundaries that someone or something has put around me? Maybe I put it on myself, but maybe not. But it's still catching me. We get to be observant, like Fern was, of where am I being caught in something that isn't mine? And that fear of wanting to please because people's opinions are coming around us, whether they're societal opinions or your family's opinions or your best friend's opinions. It's not that we don't want opinions, because opinions about life expand us. Only when we own them as being correct for us do they limit us. So we have an opportunity to hone. This doesn't just apply to what other people have to say. This applies to our whole spiritual journey, this discernment of what's mine and what's not mine. We have to remember, this is such a common concept in spirituality, and we talk about it all the time, but I really love this. It's not personal. People's opinions of what you should and shouldn't do is not really personal. It's not about you. It's about their judgment, or how they want to feel if you do that certain thing, or what they think is safest for you, so then they don't have to worry about you because now you're safe. Like, everybody wants to make it their life simpler. And where do you fit into that piece? And if you're not doing it, there may be a judgment about that. It's not personal. Other people's opinions are not really personal, unless, it's your mate or somebody really close in your life who's observing something that they're hoping will be helpful to you. That can be a little different. But general ideas about your life, that's not really personal. It's somebody else's expression of what they wish you would do. So most judgments come from other people's preoccupations with their own belief system, their own self-judgment. Others are always more concerned with how they appear in the world than they are about how you appear, but they have great ideas about how you should appear, which is always really interesting. Great ideas about how you should appear. So in our culture, as Gabby just mentioned, it's a performance-based society. So everything's about comparing and measuring and how to get a little bit further ahead, whether it's a second or a moment or an Oscar or whatever it happens to be. So we grew up with this measurement thing. How do I measure up? Look how we do standardized testing and labeling. And it's back to this box idea. We want ourselves and our children and the young people around us to break outside of the boxes, because the healing that has to happen on this planet is not going to happen inside this old paradigm box. It's not going to happen there. So if we continue to perpetuate that and allow for that to continue within ourselves and then within the structure around us, we're going in the opposite direction of healing, the opposite direction. So this is an opportunity for us to bring this into the world. It's not just about somebody saying something to us and we go, well, I don't like that opinion. It's a bigger question that we get to address. because we're in an elder role and we're in a more mature place of our spiritual journey. So now it's incumbent upon us to step into this little bit heavier role, a little bit more. We've got to really be thoughtful. And so for us to step out of opinions and notice and get to sit with an opinion and not have it sit anywhere inside our body, just get to hear it. This is going to be ever so important in the next several months before we elect a new president in this country. Because if we don't stay balanced and articulate and we get sucked into the overall drama of judgment and perception, that somebody has to stand up in a place of a bit more, not even what we're saying is truth, just stability. Just stability. So it's a rite of passage. This is one of the rites of passage into our spiritual health, is learning how to adapt to other people's opinions and still keep ourselves open and available for the integration of different ideas. I don't have to, as we talked about with Fern, I don't have to hear everything that someone says and to buy all of it or none of it. I can buy a piece of it. Someone can say something to me that I think that doesn't really resonate, but maybe one aspect of what they said got in and maybe adjusted or influenced what I think and how I feel. And that's really good. So us staying open, not closing down, not shutting down, even though we don't want to accept other people's opinions for us as our life mission, we can still hear them. So the question becomes, in terms of our own self-purpose and movement, is what are the words that you want to put together to inhabit or to express yourself? And live into those words. So put those words into your journal. For me, I would say something as simple as, right now, I am spacious and quiet, because that's true for how my life is right this minute. That's what I'm endeavoring to hold as the foundation. Right now, I'm spacious and quiet. Next week, next month, it may be something else. But use words to inhabit and express yourself to yourself. Because when you understand what your priority is and what you want, you're going to hear influences differently and respond to them differently. We won't have a fear of somebody else's opinion, because we have the stability of having heard our own voice internally in a really strong way. And we look at, like, the life mission, this is my current mission, is to be spacious and quiet. So now excuse me, I get to look at incoming references and ideas and opinions and gauge them against, do they make me spacious and quiet? Do they support my spaciousness and my quietude, or do they disrupt it? Now I get to make a conscious decision. This is not me, and this is not what I want to listen to. So use your own words. Use your own words to be the catalyst. And the last thing I'm going to say about this is how to strengthen our inner voice around this. So there are two, they call them buckets of self-talk. They're words that back you up and create spaciousness within you, and words that create tension. So every time we speak, those words go into one bucket or the other. Speaking to ourselves, we have to be incredibly aware of our self-talk. We want to be making a radical commitment to ourselves for self-safety and self-support. We want, every day, we want to wake up and say, the words I'm going to say to myself, I may need to learn or take into account something. So I need to be open to it. I can't just say, whatever comes, comes. Sometimes I need to be discerning in myself, and it might be that I have to adjust. But what are the words I'm using to do that? Because self-talk gives us, that's the foundation from which we go into the outside world, how I feel about myself. And how we feel about it, we have the opportunity to use words judiciously. It's not that we always go, oh, everything about me is great, but how are you using your words? Using the words that are actually, like, we talk about what kind of words we use for other people. Why are we using different words for ourselves in terms of how we look at how we're entering into the world and what we're doing? It's incredibly important to be using words as our container for who we are, to inspire us. We want to be inspired. We want internal inspiration. So this week, our affirmation is, drum roll, I rock. That's it. All week. I want that. Thank you, Sasha. We need a little group dance for it. We rock. Okay, ladies, go into the world because your preciousness and your maturity and what you have spent time working on is so evident and so palatable and so useful into the world that we need to carry it. No matter what else somebody else has said to us, carry that into the world. And that's all.
Good.
So what are you going to do with that city? Silliness that I've brought.
I just thought, to carry something, we need good knees, literally. So, and the exercises I want to do this morning is sitting on our heels. If that's accessible, if that's hard for you, then it's really my invitation. You do it every day and not to accept that or I have a knee sensitivity or I have this. The knees are crucial for our well-being. The knees are crucial for our brain health. So even if you start with sitting 15 seconds or 30 seconds, on your heels, do it. Unless you have really injuries in your knees, we should ensure that we can sit on our heels as long as possible. If you can't do this morning, sit on the edge of your chair. I want to connect us to the earth element, to the electromagnetic field. So we will bring our arms out to the side and the palms just facing down. Bring the arms slightly back and then close your eyes. Stretch the arms out to the side, parallel to the ground, palms down. Breathe long, slow, and deep. We just stay here for 3 minutes. We don't do anything else, just staying here. Feel how you deepen your breath. We're harmonizing with the Earth's magnetic field. And our magnetic field becomes 84 times stronger when we are capable to sit here. We can actually experience more joy and peace within ourselves. We just did 1 minute. So gravity will pull on our arms. It's natural. So you press slightly against. The 2 meditations I share with you this morning, called meditation to make one younger and stop the cycle of decay. And if we work our knees, we will stop, at least stabilize so that the decay is very, very slow. But if we just give in to our knee issues and don't do anything, it will not just be knee issues, it will be hip issues. And then it goes further and further and further. So right now we still can all do something. Last minute. You might feel the energy in your arms working right now. Just a little bit more. Now stiffen your fingers as much as you can. All fingers touch. Bring your arms up so that the upper arms hugging the ears, drop your shoulders and stay in this posture. The thumbs are beside your finger. Now open your eyes 1/10 open. And a mild focus between your eyebrows. So you're connecting the sixth chakra, third eye, with the energy of the tip of your nose. Allow your shoulders to relax. This meditation is to increase the prana in our body. If we have any illnesses or diseases in our body, it is highly suggested to do this for 31 minutes. In the yogic tradition, it is always said it takes care of a lot of illnesses. We're increasing the life force within us. One more minute. Inhale and suspend your breath. Exhale, let go. Bring your elbows to your rib cage. Press the elbows into the rib cage. Your thumbs are now extended. And hold your hands at the level of your heart center. Press the elbows really in against your rib cage. Now start to meditate on your heart. Envision a ball of light in front of your heart center. You can relax the index, middle ring, and pinky. They can separate slightly, but the thumbs are really up and extended. Allow this ball of light to penetrate into the four chambers of your heart. And imagine how this light penetrates each cell of your body. When thoughts are coming in, Come back to the ball of light. Deep breathing. Stay with it. 2 more minutes. Then you stay focused on your heart for 1 more minute. This makes the whole area around your heart center radiant. Now stay in this radiance. Bring your left hand onto your lap, right hand on top of your lap, tip of your thumbs touching. And stay here for another minute in silence. Good, and then we stay here, moving into our chanting.